What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another video. Today we have something pretty interesting to talk about. I just received the survey from Josh, from the host of Countdown to Classic, the podcast, about Classic Plus and the future of the development of Classic Plus. This survey is being taken by pretty much anyone who plays World of Warcraft, right? You can be a Classic player, a strictly hardcore player, a retail player. Anyone can take this survey. This survey is then going to be passed on to the devs. So obviously, we're trying to push it to as wide of an audience as possible. So for today's video, we're going to take the survey here in this video. We're going to talk about some things, and then I'm going to link the survey down in the description. So anyone who wants to possibly be part of the development of Classic Plus, head on down to the description and definitely take the survey yourselves. It may make a bigger difference than you think. The devs will be seeing this. So without further ado, let's not make this long and crazy. Let's just start taking the survey. Okay, so starting off at the top, are you currently subscribed to WoW? Yes, I am. Which version of WoW do you enjoy the most? Currently, I mean, I've been enjoying Season of Discovery, but I really am enjoying War Within currently. So I'm going to actually put Modern/Retail there, but I do really enjoy Season of Discovery as well. Which classes do you make? Well, you know what? Which version of WoW do you enjoy the most? I guess I didn't really fully understand that question there. I guess I'm gonna say Classic era vanilla servers, because I've loved Season of Discovery this whole time, but it hasn't hooked me as much as Classic did back in 2019, right? So we're gonna go with Classic era / vanilla P servers, which stands for private servers. And then scrolling down, which class do you main in Classic? Warrior, all day, every day. Server selection. Server selection. So, server structure preference. We have layered standalone servers, smaller single-layer servers, smaller single-layer servers with cross-realm enabled, or giant regional servers with many, many layers. This one's going to be kind of an outlier for me. I prefer the giant regional servers with many layers just because the way that WoW functions, right? Every release of WoW, we always run into the same issues. There's an insane amount of hype in the beginning, and then as phases go on and people start to trickle out, you get left with some dead servers, right? And then there's always this like 2 to 3 month limbo of like, are we going to be able to transfer? Can we transfer? Is that server locked now because of the faction imbalance? Let's just avoid all that and just go with giant regional servers with many layers. Honestly, I think that is the best option. No one is ever stuck on a dead server. Your wallet is happy because you don't have to pull out your wallet and transfer 7 characters 6 months into the game. Personally, I think that's the best option, but I do think most people are not going to select that answer here on the survey. Should servers have forced faction population balance? Only for PvP servers, and that's going to be my answer there. I don't think it matters for a PvE server, but for PvP servers, yes, the balancing that they did in Season of Discovery was amazing. I think it was absolutely fantastic for a while there in the beginning, and I think that that is something going forward that should be implemented. Should PvP servers allow players to roll both Horde and Alliance on the same account? Yes. I don't really see the downside in this. I don't understand why you shouldn't be able to do that. If you want to play Horde or Alliance on the same server, I don't really think it's a big deal. A lot of people have used 2 or 3 accounts at this point to do this anyway. So in my opinion, really what's going to happen is Blizzard just loses some money by making this choice, but people do it anyway, right? So I think that this should be allowed for everyone, even if you are a single account Andy like most people. Character creation section. Would you like to see more playable races? For example, High Elves, Blood Elves, Worgen, Goblin, Draenei, etc.? Yes, 100% throw in some High Elves, Blood Elves, Worgen, Goblin, Draenei. I mean, Draenei, I'm not crazy about Draenei, but I would be okay with them being in here. Because I don't really like, I'm not a dwarf player at all, but if I could play Draenei on Alliance, maybe I would play like a Draenei Shaman if Shamans were also on Alliance as well. Would you like more race class combinations? 100%. Yes, undead, human hunters, gnome priest, tauren mage. Yes, but only if we have more races in the game. No, leave it exactly as it is. Neutral, don't care, human warrior every time. Every part of me wants to select the don't care, human warrior every time button. But I also think that it would be nice to have more race class combinations. So I think yes, definitely. Let's go yes, undead plus human hunters, gnome priest, tauren mage, dwarf mage maybe. Stuff like that. I think that would be awesome to see. I would 100% be playing a human hunter Should shamans and paladins be on both factions? No, or no, but I like Sod's approach of Alliance Wind Fury and Horde Salvation trade-offs. Yes, or yes as a future content patch, hero type class, unlockable class, etc. So let's think about this, right? I think the Alliance, the Sod approach of Alliance Wind Fury and Horde Salve trade-offs was okay. But what happens here is this inevitably ends up in there being an issue like what's happening in Sod currently, with Horde just doing infinitely more DPS in Raid than Alliance because of Shamans. So for a Classic Plus, to keep the faction balance on both sides and to keep everyone happy, I think yes, just yes permanently. Like, just give Shamans to Alliance, give Paladins to the Horde. This would just, I don't really see a downside to this. It's not going to be classic vanilla anymore, right? So why keep this the way that it was? Racials should have high impact on the meta. For example, weapon skills, Fear Ward, Blood Fury, Will of the Forsaken, and Perception. They should be niche but flavorful. Stone Skin, Cannibalize, Shadowmeld, Warstomp should be removed entirely, or should be flexible between races, possibly learn other race abilities via quests, etc. I think that's the right path. It adds content to do. It allows you to play the race that you want, and you're not at a disadvantage for playing whatever race you want. If we're going the old school MMORPG route, people want to be able to express themselves through their character, what they look like, and all that stuff, right? So this, to me, is a win-win. People get to play what they want. It will never be not meta. It adds content to do to unlock those racial abilities that you want, and I think that would just be an all-around win. Character customization. Please select what you would like added. More hairstyles, scars, tattoos, hair color options, more skin tone variety, jewelry, eye color, leave options as they are now. Not a big deal at all. To me, this is really not a big deal at all. I wouldn't be opposed to adding more of all of these things, but not a big deal at all. Should a barbershop be added to the game? Yes, just for haircuts, beards, and basics. Yes, everything including skin tones, features, etc. Yes, absolute character remake, but not race. No, not at all. So, this one I've actually talked about in the beginning of Season of Discovery. I think yes, absolute character remake. You should be able to change from body type A to body type B with the barbershop, but this should be on a pretty lengthy cooldown, maybe a 30-day cooldown if you change your body type, right? Everything else you could change on a daily basis, your hair, your beard, whatever. But you should be able to change your body type from A to B, and you should be able to do it on a long cooldown, preferably 30 days, maybe even 60 days, right? Select which character associated services you would accept in the game shop. Name change, race change, faction change, server transfers, character boost, none of the above. I think all of them work except for character boost. Definitely don't want to boost in Classic Plus. The leveling experience. What is the ideal leveling pace for 1 to 60 in a hypothetical Classic Plus? 150 hours made more thorough, assuming additional quests. 120 hours, which is Classic 1.12. 90 hours, which is the TBC changes. Heirloomed Wrath of the Lich King vibes is 60 hours. Sod pace is about 40 hours. I think we stick around the 120 hour mark going from true Classic, right? If this is going to be a permanent thing, there's no reason people need to be rushing to max level. 120 to 150 hours would be the perfect spot, in my opinion. Would you like additional quests added to Classic Plus? No, there's enough sources of XP in the 1.12 world. Yes, but just a few to smooth out the thinner leveling brackets. Yes, many more quests. I want to play in my favorite zones more. Quest on quest on quest, 1 to 60 on one continent, multiple routes for 1 to 60. Now, I think for this, we go with yes, but just a few to smooth out the thinner level brackets. And my reasoning behind this answer, it's kind of important to me, because I feel like the leveling in vanilla, if we want to keep it feeling classic like that, it's kind of important to have to kind of make smart choices as to where you're going to level. Maybe you want to throw in a few dungeon runs here or there, or grind out a level or two. I do think that's kind of important to keep that aspect of classic, so that's going to be my answer for that. Check the boxes you agree with about professions granting XP. No XP should be given for professions at all. Gathering should grant XP. Crafting should grant XP. both should grant XP. I think both should grant XP. Obviously not an insane amount, but a little bit, right? There's some people out there who would like to play the entire game via professions, and that should be allowed. Especially if we want to make a Classic Plus that's not focused strictly on endgame content. If you want people to log in every day and play the way that they enjoy and play the way that they want, I think something like this would be important. Would a feature like setting up camp as a portable inn, like the Sod sleeping bag, be a good addition? Sleeping bag allows a player to unfurl a bag to sleep in, essentially creating an inn anywhere in the world with a 3-hour cooldown on use. Ignore the minor XP buff. Granted. A portable camp. I mean, I don't really see... I'm going to go neutral there. I don't really see why it would be a bad thing, but I don't think it's absolutely necessary. When should you purchase your first mount? 40. I think 40 is perfect. You grind it out, and you go through a struggle to get to 40 to get your mount, and then when you feel it, if you get it, it feels that much better. What is your preferred dungeon forming option? The bulletin board, which is an add-on currently used to search a list of advertisements and how long ago they posted, letting players bypass the spam of their chat window. Searching a keyword like Skolo or Strat will let you see everyone currently looking for a group or looking for more for those specific instances. Now, I think this is the tough one. I mean, I think that we should have a bulletin board feature, right? Like the LFG tool, not the Dungeon Finder, the LFG tool, where you have to talk to people, you have to manually invite them, and people do still have to travel to the instance. So I think that's going to be my answer here. I do think traveling to the instance is an important part. It is content. It creates content within the world. It creates people being out in the world and moving around. Yes, people buy summons everywhere, but not everybody, right? So those people that aren't buying those summons add life to the world. And I think that's really, really important. Maybe we can activate summoning stones with some kind of niche feature where like a warlock has to insert soul shards into a summoning stone, and then you can summon people with it for like 20 minutes or something like that, and it's on a massive cooldown. You know, things have to be limited. Cooldowns are going to be important when developing Classic Plus because players will find any way to abuse any of these systems. You know, we all know that. So yeah, that's my answer for that one. Which alt-friendly implementations are acceptable? Attunements removed entirely. Bind on account attunement items like the Oni necklace in Season of Discovery. Bind on account reputation and chance and recipes. Heirloom items. Instant mail to your own account. I think instant mail to your own account is definitely awesome, and there's no reason why we should not have that. And let's do bind on account attunement items like the Oni necklace in Season of Discovery. Attunements being part of the game is major to me. I think it's more content. It gives you goals to accomplish when you're nearing max level or at max level. That's super important. So yeah, just make some bind on account items where like if you did a lengthy attunement, like for Onyxia, for example, you can then, you know, purchase the necklace and send it to an alt, and you don't have to do that attunement again, but I do think it should still stay in the game. Should we gain rested XP faster in Classic Plus? Nope. Vanilla rates are fine, 5% per 8 hours. I think that's the way we keep it. The thing that I'm harping on the most with Classic Plus is I don't want it to be about speeding to endgame to do the endgame. The main focus of the game for the first year or two needs to be the world. It needs to be the leveling. It needs to be other things, other reasons to log in aside from logging in to do your raid or farming endgame stuff. Endgame is great and it will always be great, but we need reasons for people to log in aside from that. And I think speeding up all of these things will inevitably just make people neglect that entire process and just want to be at endgame. Classes in 1.12 vanilla have appropriately developed toolkits that promote engaging rotations and gameplay. Strongly disagree. Almost none of them do. How many classes do you think need sprucing up in terms of viability and being enjoyable to play from their 1.12 version? Hybrids, really, right? And I mean, even actually, I'm gonna go with all of them can be improved upon. Like, make the classes more fun. Like, I like the rotations in Season of Discovery. It's more fun to play Rogue. It's more fun to play Shaman. It's more fun to play Hunter. Spruce them all up a little bit. Make them more engaging. Make them more than, you know, just one button like they were in 1.12. In regards to rotation and abilities available, are you happy with how your class plays in SOD at level 60? Somewhat. I love Rogue at level 60 in Season of Discovery. Not a fan of Season of Discovery Warrior at all. And that is my favorite class of all time, and that's why I'm not playing it. I don't like the runes for Warrior. I don't like the play style. I don't like Consumed by Rage. I don't like any of that stuff. I honestly would prefer Vanilla Warrior over Sod Warrior, but I do enjoy Rogue a lot, and I know Warrior for me is kind of just an outlier, right? Other classes do feel really fun to play in Season of Discovery, so that's why I'm selecting somewhat here. At which point do you feel most classes were fleshed out and enjoyable to play? I would say Wrath of the Lich King, really. I mean, TBC was great, but it was still very vanilla, right? Like you play Warlock or Mage, you're hitting one button. Wrath of the Lich King is where classes started to feel really fun, in my opinion. I think Wrath is a good point. Even Cataclysm's great, but Wrath still felt very classic, but just more fun rotations. Like Affliction Warlock and Wrath of the Lich King is like one of my favorite specs of all time. I absolutely love it. I would love to see that exact playstyle in Classic Plus for Affliction Lock. That would be insane. Would you like talent trees to be developed / reworked to make more specs and playstyles viable and engaging? Yes. No reason they should not be. Should the developers... And you know what, guys? I want to just say, when I'm answering these questions, I know a lot of people are going to be like, no, it's going to be too far from Classic, too far from... We have Classic. We have Classic Era, right? We do want Classic Plus to be different. Classic Era is already a thing. And even when there is a fresh, it pops off for a little while, and then it will always trickle out just because there's not many changes. It's the same game, right? So if we want something that's going to be developed over the next 10 years, we're going to keep playing this. It's going to be new content. We want to be bringing new players in, younger people, older people, whoever. It's important for this stuff to be reworked and new. Otherwise, people will inevitably get bored again. Should the developers use PvE output as a primary source of balancing due to the community's priority towards that area of the game? This is a tricky one, right? Balance for PvE, but then broken in PvP. Balance for PvP, but then broken in PvE. This is a really tough one. I'm going to go with I'm unsure here. I'm not really sure the best way to do that. Does dual spec positively impact how you play the game? Yes, 100%. More tanks, more healers, more flexibility in how you can play your class when you're bored. Having a dungeon spec and a raid spec, I don't see a downside to it. Would you like to see greater respec flexibility in Classic Plus? No, just dual spec, triple spec, change talents when in rested areas, change talents anywhere out of combat. Nope, just dual spec works fine in my opinion. That stuff is getting a little bit too crazy. You need to have some sort of commitment, right? If weapon skill were made to be less meta-defining, tick which changes / alternatives are appealing. Nothing 1.12 is fine. Add more items with weapon skill. Add skill enchants. Quest chains to learn additional skill. Remove weapon skill racials. Consumable weapon skill. Just make weapon skill irrelevant beyond 300. Yes, I think that's the best option. It just kind of makes no sense in my opinion. We have hit rating. Why does weapon skill also need to affect past 300? It makes you equip weird items just for +3 weapon skill when you're not getting the stats that you normally would need. It just doesn't make sense. In my opinion, I could see why it was a thing back then, but it's kind of bad design when you really think about it, right? Which stat system is the most ideal for Classic Plus? Vanilla hit percentage and percentage crit. TBC ratings for armor pen, spell hit, melee hit, spell power. Wrath of the Lich King ratings for hit, haste, crit, spell power, armor pen. I like the vanilla style of % hit and % crit. Profession section, here we go. Would you like to see higher impact / BIS items as a result of crafting in Classic Plus? No, I don't think so. And the reason for that is because it just creates meta professions. So if you no longer have the freedom to be whatever you want to be. If your BIS item comes from tailoring and you're playing a warlock, you're going to be a tailor. You're no longer going to go herb and alchemy. And vice versa. For every class, there's a scenario like that. There's got to be a better way to do it, in my opinion. Should professions attempt to give the player unique but somewhat equal power bonuses? Yes. Should engineering be changed so it's less mandatory for PvE? Yes. Sam and Sod brought changes to gathering and crafting. Would changes of this nature be good in Classic Plus? Black lotuses are randomly picked amongst high-level herbs, their original spawn locations. Sod massively buffed the spawn rates and doubled the supply from picking nodes. Transmutes and elixirs guaranteed 2 procs minimum. Yeah, I'd like to see these changes in Classic Plus. I don't really see a downside. I think it's pretty niche and pretty cool. It just makes your professions feel a little bit more impactful, right? So now we're on the Azeroth / the world section. How should any new zone affect Azeroth? More areas to level 10 to 60, high-level zones for live PvE and PvP events, save them and utilize them as big content patches, patch attractions like Silithus and AQ. All of the above. If this is going to be a permanent thing, we need lots of new zones, lots of new content. Every time there's a major content patch, drop a new zone, just like Modern WoW does. I think that would be fantastic. Would a general world enrichment of new rare spawns, rewarding chests, leveling events be a benefit to Azeroth? Of course, definitely. Are you a fan of scheduled events occurring in Azeroth? Ashenvale, STV, BRM, Elemental Invasion, Scourge Invasion, AQ event? Yes, to an extent. I don't know. This is a kind of a tricky one. I'll go with yes for that, but there's a little bit of, I don't know about that. I'm not a fan of anything that makes you feel like if you're not on us at a specific time, you're missing something, right? And that I don't know. It's a tricky one. It's a tricky one. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Select how the developers should consider revamping parts of the reputation system. Yes, in terms of the reward and their importance. Yes, make them more engaging to complete with quest hand-ins. Yes, make them easier to complete, but their rewards are fine as they were. The system, its factions, and their rewards are fine as is. Make the grinds worse, but make them account wide. That's the one I'm selecting there. Again, all my answers here mostly are catered towards if this is a permanent thing, make really long goals that people have to grind out that, like, there's no reason to rush for these things. Nothing should be faster or easier if this is a permanent game mode. In a seasonal game mode, that makes sense, right? But why do we want to speed up the rate at which people get things in a permanent game mode? The longer people are playing and engaging with the world and their character and people around them, the longer the game feels alive. Now, if you make the grinds pretty long, but make them account wide, you get rewarded pretty big for completing that grind. Now, by the time you finish that grind, maybe the next major content patch is out, so you don't even want to stop playing. This is what I'm talking about. I think these things are super important. Does Classic's flight path system require optimizing? Yeah, this is something where I think can be sped up quite a bit. There's a lot of really wacky flight paths that fly you in circles around massive zones for no reason. And that is something I think can be streamlined a little bit better. Would any version of flying be acceptable? Nope, not at all. No flying in Classic Plus. Absolutely no flying. Is it a negative effect that new quests and zones might result in not visiting portions of Azeroth during your leveling journey? No, because if we incorporate everything correctly, we should still be able to journey and adventure wherever we need to within original Azeroth as well. Should Azeroth have more graveyards implemented? Yes. Oh my god, the Oni wipe on Horde side, which I'm not used to, is horrendous. More graveyards, please. Guilds. Okay, guild section here. Should guild banks be added to Classic Plus? Yep, without a doubt. No downside to that. How should you search for a guild to join? Read advertisements, browse an interface with guild advertisements. I use Warcraft Logs. I think an interface with guild advertisements. This feature's been in the game before and no one really uses it. Like, I don't know. If they could make that better, I think that would be my suggestion for that. Would guild halls be an exciting addition to Classic Plus? Instance entry like the PvP halls, customizable internal area like Valheim/WoW vibes. Display trophies, hire NPC staff to fulfill profession roles, but potentially, possibly unlock features like an alchemy table for flash career. Dude, that is the most big brain thing ever. That would be awesome. Like a place you could hang out with your guild. You could decorate it. Let's say every boss you kill for the first time, you get a trophy and you can display it on a wall. Pictures, like take screenshots of your guild and actually turn them into framed pictures and put them on the walls. Furniture. This would be sick. This would actually be sick. I think it would be really cool. So yes, absolutely. Pre-raid, and you know what? Things like that, these are the things that I'm talking about when I say more things to keep people in the game aside from just endgame, right? Give us some things to customize, right? This is almost like a form of player housing where you can hang out with your guild, have guild meetings, it's all decorated cool. You know, maybe the officers can be allowed to decorate as well, like stuff like that. I think that would be awesome. Pre-raid endgame. There are many examples of currency systems implemented in various versions of WoW, points, emblems, coins, and so forth. Would a currency reward from completing dungeons used to purchase materials and items be a benefit to Classic? For example, SOD has the currency which can be handed in for tier 0, and crafting materials as a measure to assure players they would receive their desired loot after an honest amount of runs, as well as providing a gold-generating incentive. 100%. I have been saying this forever. Like the badge system implemented in TBC and Wrath, go with that, right? I like the original, like the TBC badge system. I think it's perfect. It feels like really good to me. I would love to see that implemented in Classic Plus. PvP. How would you change the PvP system in Classic Plus? Nothing. Classic Rank 14 system is great. Rank 14 grind, but without any decay, which is Era and Sod. Rank 14 grind, but all progress counts towards an honor points total. No weekly thresholds. That's not a bad idea. Rank 14 grind, no decay. Can redo the grind for cosmetic rewards like mounts, titles, tabards, prestige style, like a Call of Duty prestige. A rework entirely from the rank 14 structure, akin to Wrath of the Lich King and onwards. I'm between those two. I'm between the rank 14 grind, no decay, can redo the grind as many times as you want as a prestige for extra cosmetic rewards, mounts, titles, tabards. Maybe, I think that would be awesome. I'm also a really big fan of the way honor worked from Wrath of the Lich King onwards as well. But in the spirit of Classic, I'm going to go with the rank 14 grind here with the no decay and the prestige system. Would you add arena PvP? Yes. Yep, 100%. Classic Plus. Okay, here's the problem with Classic as a whole, right? Most players gravitate towards PvE. PvE is the main focus of the endgame. There is really nothing good for PvPers aside from AFKing in Alterac Valley, which is really sad. There's some world PvP, but it's not a structured competitive PvP. If we're doing Classic Plus, arenas need to be in the game with seasons. This, again, is another reason for people to stay logged into the game. Now, if I've been raiding for 2 months and we're 2 months away from the next major content patch, which is the new raid, maybe I'm going to decide, hey, I'm going to jump into this arena season now. Instead of logging off and playing a different game, I'm going to decide to pump arena for the next 2 months until the new raid comes out. I want to see how high I can get my rating. I want to earn that title or that mount, whatever. I think that this is an absolute must-have in Classic Plus. It will give PvPers an endgame. Should there be PvP stats for PvP? Yes, add resilience to ranking gear. No, additional stamina is enough. Ooh. This is a tricky one, right? Resilience gets kind of wacky and kind of makes PvP feel terrible later on. It's not bad in TBC, but you got to remember that if now there's resilience in the game, world PvP is going to be pretty unbalanced because you're going to have a bunch of PvEers out in the world and then people with insane resilience running around just absolutely dumpstering them. So that's not going to feel good. Maybe we just go with additional stamina on PvP gear, right? This way there's some sort of a balance out in the open world for world PvP because that's a major part of Classic. So the balance would be that, yeah, if you're rocking full PvP gear, you just have a lot more stamina. But the people in PvE gear, if they're a skilled player, they're wearing straight PvE gear. They're built for damage. And if they can outplay that person, that extra stamina is not going to give that person that much of an advantage. I think that's the best way to go forward with it. I mean, there are some scenarios where resilience could work. I don't know. If it was TBC style, resilience isn't bad, in my opinion. But the further you get down the line of expansions, it kind of starts to feel really bad. If you had to choose, would you prefer more instance battlegrounds? Plenty of modern/retail examples, or world PvP objectives, instance battlegrounds. Just gonna say it. Like, we all want these world PvP events, but they're not as fun as just regular world PvP. Like, world PvP is great. When it's an entire event, it just becomes a bloodbath that you're not even really playing. You're just rezzing and dying or just AoEing an entire raid group down. Like, it's really not fun. Like, in my opinion, I don't really know how anyone could enjoy that. More instance battlegrounds, like the ones that they've released in future versions of WoW, amazing. Give us 10 different battlegrounds to choose from on the weekly rotation, right? Should crowd control in PvP be tweaked? Yes, implement shorter CC durations. Yes, shorter CC and overlapping diminishing returns. I say yes, shorter CC and overlapping diminishing returns. No, just shorter CC durations overall. Make it more fun. Being completely stun locked until death by a rogue is, I mean, I do it to people. I enjoy doing it, but it's not fair and it's not fun. There's really not that much counterplay to it. So yeah, shorter CC durations and implement an arena. Make a competitive PvP scene in WoW. Just do it. It's going to be good in the long run. World PvP will still exist. People will still do it, but these open world PvP events don't really work. They're not very fun. It'll always be laggy. It'll always be one-sided. It'll always be weird. More battlegrounds, shorter CC durations. Make PvP actually competitive in Classic Plus. Give PvPers in endgame. Make a competitive PvP scene. Dishonorable kills. Remain as they are in Classic, assuming the system is the same. Make relevant dishonorable kill targets immune to enable world PvP in hostile areas. Remain as the same as they are. Would you like to see res timers after multiple deaths redesigned? Yes. They're terrible. Rating and endgame plus. Should Classic Plus push beyond T3 and Nax? Yes. Adding new raids with slightly better rewards to enable power creep? Yes, but adding horizontal content, my player power remains capped out. No, I think in the middle one. Add new raids and keep power creep going. I mean, you know, maybe also add, I don't know, this is a tricky one. This gets it to a point where there's like, it's too late to start, right? And if this is permanent, you never want that. But then again, it never was too late to start in Classic. Like people jumped in at the end, right? So yeah, keep the power creep going. Just get some good catch-up mechanics. So every time a major patch comes out, make a catch-up mechanic so that people can catch up to that quicker, gear-wise, right? If your character only made marginal power gains between raid tiers, would this decrease your likelihood to play? No. I mean, as long as you're going up in power, that's fine. I mean, it should be significant enough where you feel stronger, right? In my opinion. Is it good that powerful items are scattered between raid tiers to keep previous content relevant? Yes, 100%. That's a very big, important part of Classic. Which raid size is best suited for Classic Plus? Complete flex rating 10 to 25. And my opinion on this has drastically changed since Season of Discovery came out, okay? Season of Discovery launched, in Phase 1, I wanted 40 player Molten Core. The play style, the player base has shifted quite a bit away from that, which results in a lot of guilds disbanding, my guild included in that. I think flex rating, you can go with 10 to 25 people, and an actual flex environment where you can go with 13 if you have 13, you can go with 18 if you have 18, makes rating easier for everyone, makes it more fun, makes it less traumatizing to lose one of your good players because they had to go to a barbecue or a birthday party or whatever. Just make it flex rating. I don't see a downside to it now. I have completely done a 180 on my decision on this. 10 to 25 player flex rating. You should be able to raid with 11 players, 17 players, 23 players, all the way up to 25. I think this is perfect. Should Classic Plus lean into various modes of difficulty for raids? Yes. I know people don't like this, but it just, I don't know. I like it. I like heroic modes of raids. I like hard modes. You know, I don't know. I mean, I really, this one's a tough one. This is a tough one for me. I'm going to just select, you know, I don't know. I just feel like I like the whole system of doing a heroic version of a dungeon or a raid and getting better loot. I don't know why people don't like that. And I'm going with that. I like it. What era of Classic has the best consumable environment, including profession/world buff meta on top? Okay. I think Wrath of the Lich King did it right. I think Wrath of the Lich King felt really good. I've always been so pro world buff as well, but I'm starting to flip-flop on that too because of Season of Discovery. I don't think it feels good. Like, I know getting world buffs, you know, creates camaraderie and it's an event and it's something you go and do, right? I don't like, though, how if you accidentally die, you now can't parse for that entire lockout, or like you're doing infinitely lower DPS than the rest of your raid that didn't die. I don't know. I think Wrath of the Lich King did it right. I think the raiding scene in Wrath felt really good. I thought it felt great. How do you predominantly enjoy endgame? WoW. Speedrunning raids, blasting raids and parsing, casually clearing raids, non-raider, PvP enthusiast, Mythic Plus, Dungeon King, retail raiding. I like blasting raids and parsing. But I don't see why a Mythic Plus Dungeon King, form of 5-man endgame content wouldn't be a bad thing either, and make it equivalent to raid gear. I think that would be fantastic. It would give smaller groups of people a chance to do endgame content as well. Would achievements be a good addition to Classic Plus? Yes. Yes. Yes, everything. Everything. Achievements are always good. World buffs. Again, achievements are good because this is a permanent version of the game. You want as much content as possible. You want as many things to farm as possible, right? World buffs. How should world buffs exist in Classic Plus? I like them, but make them more convenient to gather and hold on to, exactly as they were in 1.12, or remove them entirely. All right, guys. So this is going to upset a lot of people. And I've always been a world buff Andy, but I think for Classic Plus to thrive and survive, remove them entirely, baby. Get them out. It's just an annoyance to go have to collect them and teleport around the world, and you know, it's not as much camaraderie as we think. Most people just pay for summons everywhere they got to go to get their world buffs. You pay someone to get your Dire Maul buffs. You know, you didn't get them because you were busy, and now it's raid night, and you're like, oh my god, I got to run around before dinner really quick. You skip dinner to get your world buffs for raid. Just take them out. There's no reason for it. Doesn't need to be a thing in Classic Plus. We already have Classic Arrow, right? If world buffs were to be made more convenient, what methods would be acceptable? Short cooldown windows, repeatable buff quests like Oni Head, CG Heart, storing them with chrono boons, powerful consumables via crafting, flask equivalent materials, weaker alternatives provided by... See, no, I don't agree. I don't like this. Weaker alternatives provided by class buffs like the warrior buff and SOD. That never is going to stack up to, like, why get the weaker version of a buff? Makes no sense. Maybe make them consumables. Get rid of world buffs, but give the same exact effects from flasks or something like that. I think that's probably the best idea. And storing them. Just definitely not the weaker alternatives. And that's it. That's the last question on here. Let's submit it. Boom. We submitted it. So, yeah. So we took the survey. That was an interesting survey. I'm actually really curious to know the results of this survey, and I'm happy this is being passed on to the devs. So this is a long video, guys, but I urge all of you to take that survey. Seriously, you don't really understand, but you could make such a big impact by doing it. It's, you know, the devs are going to see this. It's going to be good, right? They're going to go through this and see. So make sure you get your votes in on this survey. It's really important. If you want to have a voice in how Classic Plus is designed, this is the way to do it. Whether you agree with me on some of my takes or not, get your voice heard by taking this survey. But yeah, appreciate you guys sticking through this. This was a long video, but yeah, follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/hammerdance, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We're live. Link in the description below. Again, the survey is linked below. Subscribe. And yeah, thank you all so much for watching and listening in. I'll see you all in the next one.